Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Spencer, and welcome to the pilot episode of the College Kids Podcast.
Yeah, welcome, guys. We are so excited to be doing this. We have a lot of great things in store. This is, like Spencer said, this is our pilot episode, so we are just kicking things off. But first thing that I think we want to talk about is definitely kind of introducing ourselves, going in depth about what the future is going to be like for this podcast. We're going to keep it very casual, very simple, kind of straight to the point about it. We definitely want just a lot of great content for you guys as well.
Yeah, this is kind of just a podcast. We want you guys to listen to it, in the morning before you're going to school or whatever, just something casual you guys can turn on while you're driving around or walking around or doing whatever.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to keep it really cool, really
Absolutely.
casual.
And, just kind of diving right into it, first thing that we definitely want to talk about and want to thank is our crew and cast members. We kind of pulled this together last minute.
Yeah.
We definitely want to say an absolute thank you to everybody who is here tonight and helping us. So we have Dylan Lynn that is directing and TDing right now, so we want to say a huge thank you to him. He's in the studio. Our professor for our class is Joe Michaels. He is amazing, so thank you so much for Joe. We have a couple other students in the crew and right here in the studio that we just want to thank as well. We got some stage managers, people running audio files. Could not do this without you. So thanks to you guys so much for being here. And we're just going to kind of, get started. So first thing we do want to show is that we have a awesome logo coming on that's going to be on our Spotify account.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. Spencer came up with that on, what was it, Photoshop or something?
Photoshop. I mean, we're still working on it, but that might be what we go with.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of are really, really digging the neon, and I really, really love just the colors that it coincides with, and it turned out really awesome. He sent that to me like in the middle of the class today. I was like, that's so sick. That's so awesome. So now that we are kind of got everything carried away and we're talking about some great stuff, let's get into kind of the start of where this idea came from, because we are just two college kids. We are just kind of making it happen, doing what we're doing. So what was kind of the birth of the podcast? Why don't we go into a little bit more in depth?
It was kind of a weird birth.
It really was.
So me and Meredith, for everybody who doesn't know who we are, which is probably going to be a lot of people, because a big campus, big world, you don't know everybody.
Yeah, spreading the word about this, absolutely.
We met probably 7 or 8 weeks ago when our media production class started, and we didn't say a word to each other. We did not formally know each other in any way, shape, or form until 3 weeks ago. We sat down in front of a camera to be talent for one of our practice episodes.
And this was probably 2 weeks ago, something like that.
It was super, super short notice.
Yeah.
And we just met each other. We sat down and started talking, and we were cracking up. We were cracking jokes left and right.
So fun.
It was amazing. And then at the end of the day, Meredith comes up to me. She's like, "Oh my God, that was so fun. That was so much. That was so cool. We need to do a podcast." And I was like, what? A podcast? And she's like, yeah, that'd be super cool. We need to start one. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like, we'll do one. And Joe Michaels, our professor, was like, yeah, you guys should absolutely do that. You would totally kill it. And then this was born.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So in our multicam class, we are learning all about how to direct and produce and run audio files and video files and do talent and be stage managing, and it's just all in the studio and also in the control room. And so I love doing talent, and I also love directing, but this day, we happened to do talent, and Spencer was like, I really want to do it, and I had never talked to you before. And I was like, okay, and we started cracking up, and we had a list of all of these ideas that we really wanted to kind of dive more in depth. And I don't know about you, but I didn't start getting into podcasts until over this past summer. I would turn on to podcasts when I vacation in the Outer Banks every year.
Really?
So it's a 7-hour drive.
That's
I
it?
listen to podcasts the entire time.
I've been listening to podcasts for probably 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, and they've become a really popular thing.
Well, I started with NPR. You know what NPR is?
Yeah.
So my mom always listened to NPR, and it was always people talking about politics, the economy, global news, things like that. And they would talk about it. She listened to it all the time. Mm-hmm. Classical music and NPR. My mom is a nerd, and she would always listen to that kind of stuff. And so I started with NPR, and then I slowly kind of moved over to Spotify. I watched a bunch of YouTube stuff. I used to watch Joe Rogan a lot.
Oh, love him.
He's so freaking funny.
So
like
good.
That is one of the
so
funniest
funny.
podcasts I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And then right now I listen to the Misfits podcast.
Okay.
And they are a group of like gamers on the internet, and I don't really watch their gaming content.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch their videos. I don't connect with them in any other way. But for some reason on Spotify, I think they are the funniest group of guys I've ever heard in my life.
For sure.
But that's what
Yeah.
I listen to right now.
Well, over the summer, I really, really loved getting into podcasts. And I'm on my computer right now. I just pulled it up. It's called Star Wars, guys. I'm a huge, you know this, Marvel and Star Wars fan. And so I wanted to start listening to podcasts that talks about Star Wars because I think that's something we're definitely going to go in depth about is do movie reviews and all that kind of stuff. And we're about to get into like the future of this podcast as well. But Star Wars, guys, has an awesome podcast. There were some Disney ones that my really good friend Ryan Stewart and we listened to. My brother likes this podcast that probably a lot of college kids likes. It's called Call Me Daddy or Call Her Daddy or something like that. And then I also listened to Tiny Meat Gang, which is Cody Ko and Noel Miller.
Yeah, I love them.
They have an awesome podcast. So, like I said, there's a lot of people that like kind of do YouTube and then Instagram and maybe TikTok now, and then they also have decided to like run into podcasts as well. So I think that is something we definitely have kind of heard about and where the idea was from. But let's talk about the future of this. So we talked about kind of the birth of College Kids Podcast, and we talked about where the idea is coming from, but let's talk about the future. So we're thinking that we're just kind of basing this podcast off of just being two college students. I'm a junior, so I'm a third-year student, and Spencer is a sophomore. He's a second-year student. We're both from North Carolina, so we're kind of local, and we definitely want this to not be kind of subjective to just kids at our university. We want kind of older teenagers in high school and young adults like in college right now to want to listen to this, you know what I mean? So we're thinking that we definitely want to do just kind of being in college right now, any advice that we have for anybody, maybe some definitely popular TV shows or movie reviews. We're thinking about that as well. Advice that we have for applying to college or maybe college students. We definitely want to do some informational stuff. We definitely want to do travel experiences. So like if we've gone anywhere or we're, doing something, and just also just pop culture, if anything's happening in the news that we want to talk about.
For sure. Yeah. I just want to do everything. Like I want to sit down and I want this podcast to kind of be like a once a week thing. We sit down, unwind, our week and the week in the world. We talk about, what's going on with us, what's going on with other people, what's going on at our university, other universities. I think it's just, a cool casual talk every week.
No, for sure. I think that's kind of our main idea that we're thinking about is that like I said, we don't want to narrow this down to our university. We want to just kind of have it casual for everybody to want to listen to. Yeah. And so we are really excited about this. Can't believe that this is our first episode that we're kind of diving into. It is crazy that we've just kind of jumped immediately into this, but it's good stuff. It is great stuff. So now, as far as our topic for today, so that was just kind of introductory for everybody that's working on the cast and crew, and also just a little bit about ourselves, but we'll probably go a little bit more in depth about that as we're talking about it. But I think that we started off, we were thinking about what we wanted to talk about.
And we were going to talk about, we're going to say it on 3. 1, 2,
what are we saying?
3. COVID. That's what we were going to talk about.
Horrible.
Well, it's okay. Okay, we plan
Let's
to talk
do it again.
About.
Ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
COVID.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes. So we've been thinking about what to talk about for our first podcast, right?
Well, this is a pretty relevant topic. Like, COVID is huge because it affects
everybody.
So everybody watching and listening to this podcast is like, yeah, I know what COVID is. I know her. And
Miss Rona, what's going on?
We are going to talk about experiences in college with COVID as well. Now, this is different because for people who don't know, I don't live on campus. I'm a commuter.
Yes.
And you live on campus.
I do.
So we are literally on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Which makes it good as well.
For sure, yeah. And so how has COVID impacted you? How do you think it's really hurt you in any way? Has it hurt you in any way?
Let's just get deep down right into this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been really, really weird. So when we went home in March, I was on spring break with my mom, and we found out it was a national emergency, and then we went home, and my mom was laid off work for a while, and she's in the medical field, so she's titled of what's called a nurse anesthetist, and she hadn't had a day off work since I was born. And so, like, she has been a full-time worker my entire life, and there was about 2.5, 3 months that she didn't go back to work for several days. Yeah.
Really? Holy cow.
And when she went back to work, it was like 2 days. It was like 2 or 3 days or something a week, and then she didn't start going back full time until June 1st. So it was really weird because for the first time, my dad works at home.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is that who we think it is? The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Michaels. So we have a special guest that we want to bring over here. Do you want to come talk?
He's working on a camera. Let him
do his thing. All right. So
But anyways, while he's working on the camera, you were talking about you have a
yeah. So it was really weird because my dad. He's been working at home. He travels for a living, so obviously his travel is
He travels for a living?
He does, yeah.
That's so cool.
He's a regional sales manager for a company out of Minnesota, so he travels. Wow. And he still hasn't like traveled or anything like major. Yeah. So it's definitely been weird because we were home for all 4 of us, and it was just a hectic time. But internships were down the drain, and luckily I didn't have anybody in my personal family that was diagnosed with COVID or anything during those times. But it was definitely weird to just be at home and to have my parents not working at home and just have that kind of thing.
That is super cool. I mean, with respect to COVID and everything going on.
Yeah.
It's still cool to have family at home. It didn't really for me. It was weird because my dad works in Guilford County government, and he's a fire marshal. And so he didn't have many days off at all. He was always out doing stuff. My mom, stay-at-home mom, she works with me and my little brothers. And she homeschools. I'm also a homeschool kid.
I did not know that.
So she homeschools my little brother Ethan and Ben. Ethan is 16. Ben is 13.
Nice.
I should probably know.
Nice.
I'm sorry. I'm such a bad brother.
Good.
But she stays home with them, and it was funny because in March when we got sent home, I was like, yes, this is a 2 or 3 week thing.
Yeah.
I get to just go home and chill, play some video games, hang out.
Yeah.
And then the whole world, literally the entire world fell apart.
Kept going.
The stock market plunged. Thousands and thousands of people died. Yeah. Everything just went topsy-turvy out of nowhere.
Literally. I mean,
that was crazy. And what's even crazier is the fact that we might not change our way of life with masks and social distancing. This may not go away for years. I was reading people talking about
is that seriously
how it's gonna. People nobody knows for sure because you can only run so many simulations and check things out. Mm-hmm. But I was hearing people were talking about we're gonna have a corona season every year. We have a flu season now.
It's gonna kind of be
it's gonna be every year we have a spike with it, and depending on how well people use those rules, social distancing, masks, things like that, there's a good chance that it's gonna stay around for many, many, many years, unless we get a vaccine and we completely just obliterate it. Mm-hmm. But the odds of us completely getting rid of this virus are
impossible.
Yeah, it's so small. Just like with the flu, you can't just get rid of the flu.
Yeah.
It's always going to be hiding in somebody or somewhere or on something.
Or just kind of somebody can be a carrier of it. I know that's also a thing. Is for people, they're asymptomatic, so they're technically carriers.
One of my friends at work got it 2 times. Which is very rare.
Yes, talk about that. I remember you telling me that over the weekend.
So it was like April, I think. It was right after the hype had started for COVID. I don't know, hype. That's pretty bad to say.
Yeah, the craziness. No, absolutely.
But he was working with me, and he was like, man, I don't really feel good today. He's like, what? I was like, okay, whatever. Goes home. The next weekend passes, and then Monday he calls out of work, and he's like, hey, So I tested positive for coronavirus. And we had to shut down the store. I work at Chick-fil-A, and we had to shut down the store for like 3 weeks. Do a deep clean, get everybody out, test everybody at the store, stuff like that.
That's crazy. And this was right. This was like
was
back
right
in,
when it started.
Yeah, right
This
in
was
April.
when people were like, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world.
Yes.
Like everybody's gonna die from this. There's no cure. We're done."
Yeah.
And so people were freaking out. The Chick-fil-A that I worked at was under some heavy fire.
Heavy.
It was bad. People,
Yeah.
going crazy on Facebook, like, "Oh my God, you've infected everybody in this specific general area.
Just Karen's.
We're
just,
dead." Yeah.
Karen's just
And
out
so
the wazoo.
we opened back up, and he and his family recovered. They did fine.
Good.
The next week, he's like, "Hey, got to call it again. I am positive again." And we were like, "What?" And at that point, everybody thought, you get it once and it's gone. And so he was like, "Well, maybe the test was negative and it just showed up positive or
false
whatever."
positive,
because
yeah.
everybody was like, it's impossible to get tested or be tested
Twice.
positive twice.
Yeah.
But he stayed home just to be safe. Luckily, he did, because he was indeed positive again. And that was just really weird because everybody freaked out. Like, I had friends texting me, and they were like, "Hey, did you come in contact with this guy on Wednesday or Thursday when he was there?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I worked beside him Wednesday, and they were literally like, "Okay, well, don't talk to me, don't get near me, don't touch me at work, nothing."
Don't breathe on me.
It was
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. No, I definitely think that I actually just pulled up the current COVID-19 cases, and I think we're going to get into this with a minute, but we're
like
recording this
200,000.
October,
It's like over 200,000.
Well, we're recording this October 5th.
Yeah.
President Trump has already been tested positive with his
Womp womp.
wife, Melania Trump. But currently, we have about 218,000 positive cases with, that's in North Carolina. Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Oh my
That's not in
gosh.
North Carolina.
Yes.
Is that just in North Carolina?
That's just in North Carolina, total cases, yeah. And then total cases, United States, it went up from last week. It's
7.4 million.
7.45 million.
That is
yeah.
2.5% of the United States.
That's
Right? Yeah, it is.
Is
Yeah,
that
it is.
correct?
Because we have roughly, was it 320 million? So 1% of that would be like 3.2 million.
Wow.
So 2.5 times would be like right at like 7.8 or 7.9.
Look
or
at
something like
you,
that.
smart
Hey,
cookie.
quick maths.
Quick math.
That is crazy.
And it's crazy, and it's just like, it is all, it's crazy to believe that we are so lucky, because kind of getting into this, we are here on campus. Like, we're recording this podcast without masks, on campus,
Yeah.
in a studio. We have, how many people do we have here?
We have, isn't it like 5,400 or 6,000, something like that? Yeah.
And, we have people right here in the studio that are just, so casual about it. But talking about our specific university, we go to High Point University in High Point, North Carolina, and the highest cases we had were what, like 178?
It was like 178 or 180, something like that. It
yeah.
was, we kept it relatively low, and now we only have, it's
I'm
like,
about to
what,
pull it
40
up
cases
right
or
now.
something?
Yeah, so we about 2 weeks ago, we spiked to 178. And
Yeah.
I'll talk about my COVID scare here in a hot minute. But currently, we are sitting at only 34 cases. These are only students. We did have some faculty and staff
Yeah,
that
but they're
did
good
test
now, I
positive.
think, yeah.
They're all good. One of my professors, I have a minor in sales with I have a major in media production entrepreneurship, minor in professional sales. Larry Quinn, who's the head of the sales department, he tested positive for COVID. And I also heard a rumor, student had him last year for negotiations in the spring before we got sent home. He also tested positive for COVID then.
So he's another person that's
He's
been tested
another
twice. That's
double
crazy.
whammy. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
And
actually,
then-
no, it might be possible because the antibodies only last a couple months. So if it's been a while,
Yes.
it could be possible for him
Yeah,
to just
and it scares
pop
me
up again.
because he's also in that age range that's kind of like nerve-wracking.
They're a little more susceptible to it and everything
and
like
it's
that.
like you don't know what their symptoms are going to be like, and I don't know.
Hmm.
But suspected student cases are only about 2 right now, so that's good. But
Wow.
we are so lucky that we have been here. And we are in person and we're healthy. Let's talk about the regulations we've had on campus before we get into like other colleges and universities. So like being a commuter student, you know, you're living at home, you
Mm-hmm.
come here every day, but it's completely different here in the actual dorm. You
Yeah,
know
I don't
what
know.
mean?
This is probably more your topic than it
For
is mine,
sure,
because
for
I don't know
sure.
anything about like dorms or requirements with, food on campus and things like that.
But even
so.
classes is kind of weird. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, we
You
have had
know?
the social distance in all our
Yep,
classes.
we have to social distance. It's every other desk, and you have to like do the diagonal and stuff like that. Masks are required. On High Point's campus, you have to wear a mask inside the whole time. But if you're eating or drinking, it's okay if you don't. But still, some professors are really stickler on it that you have to go outside to take a drink or eat something.
I mean, I had a lady, although I wasn't following rules, I was sitting up there, second floor of the comm building the other day, and I had pulled down my mask, not revealing my mouth, just my nose, because I
just
was
the
like
nose.
I was like scratching the top of my nose, and I didn't pull it back up. 20 seconds tops. I literally pulled it down, scratched, and then left it up for just a second, and I was like doing something on my computer, and she comes by. Excuse me. She's like, do you enjoy being here? And I was like, well, I didn't think she was mad at me. I was like, well, yeah, like I enjoy being here.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, put your mask back on correctly. Like,
Now, was this a
we're gonna get
professor
sent
or a
home.
student?
I don't know if it was faculty. She was an older lady.
Okay.
I don't know if she's a professor or faculty or what. I don't think she's a
Weird.
professor that I know personally.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually had that happen. First day class with that graphic design class that we're taking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I was sitting out here with my friend, eating a kind bar, 7:45 in the morning, 7:30, something like that. I was hungry. I was like, I want a kind bar.
Famished.
And I was just famished.
Yeah.
And I was just, sitting here numbing. He comes up to me and he was like, mask required, inside the entire time. I was like, I'm just eating a kind bar.
But I mean, at the same
I'm
time,
so sorry.
we can't
And-
take it offensively because
and
they have
it's
to.
it's hard because it's like what is okay, what's not, and you want to keep everybody safe, but at the same time it's kind of like what
I think it's inconvenient for everybody, though. I mean,
It really
even
is.
outside of campuses, outside of being at home, being at work, wherever. A lot of people just don't like wearing masks and things like that. And I mean,
Yeah.
although scientifically it doesn't, reduce your breathing and stuff like that. Sometimes when I'm wearing one, I still feel like I'm like, am I choking a little bit? Like, what's going on?
What
Like,
is
I'm like-
happening? It is, I feel like
Yeah.
it's really bizarre, kind of the whole COVID like mask. It's sorry, COVID mask wearing thing because people when this first came out in the springtime, they were like masks don't do anything, not a big deal, and now they're like masks
crap.
make a difference, and it's like okay, well,
But even now, you still have people who are just like
Anti-mask.
Anti-mask.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not putting on Satan's muzzle. Like, this is ridiculous.
it's also hard if you have small children going out in public places because if you're below the age of 3,
You don't have to wear one.
you don't have to wear one, and if you're having an actual like infant, it could damage their it could
Their
hurt
breathing
them.
or
Yeah,
something
it
like
damage
that.
their
Yeah.
breathing.
I don't know much about babies, but sure. Yeah. That's not really...
Yes, Father Spencer over here. Great.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So we so it's code crazy. So as far as
It's so funny. Okay, never mind. You're just okay. Go ahead. Yeah,
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. I'm just being stupid.
as far as like the dorm situation, I actually worked here over the summer. So I have been here giving tours. Ben, who's our stage manager, says that I have multiple hats I wear. So I was an ambassador. I was an ambassador on campus, and I was giving tours starting from like July 5th until the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And we were having families on tour. We had families come on, weren't testing or anything, weren't taking temperatures, anything along those lines. And it was really weird. It was really bizarre because they were wearing masks. I don't think I had one family that would complain about it or anything. And then when I got back here, I lived in a dorm by myself. I didn't have anybody, so over the summer it was great. And then my roommates came in mid-August, and I really was a stickler about it. I said to myself, I was like, we have to wear masks for the first 2 weeks and just like do our own thing. And it was hard because I was sharing a bathroom with somebody and like living space. We were very diligent, and we have been very diligent. And luckily, thank you that nobody has been into quarantine or has had it. We have had a little bit of scares. A couple weeks ago, I think it was about 3 weeks ago or something along those lines, I found out that one of my good friends, his name is Alex, he came over, hung out on Friday night. We went to the store, grabbed some stuff, and came back.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out. Monday morning, he started feeling sick, and Wednesday he tested positive for COVID.
Oh no.
Yep. And then I found out on Friday that my good friend that I saw on Monday, she was completely asymptomatic, but she tested positive.
That's crazy.
And I was like, okay, drawing straw. Mama, I'm getting me a test. So I called CVS. I said, I am coming. I'm getting a test. And so I went into quarantine at my house. You know, I live about an hour and 15 minutes away. And my older brother, who's at home, he was like, well, why is she coming here? If she's testing positive, just go to the hotel. I said, no. And so it was scary, though. It was really scary. Luckily, I came back negative, so I was able to come back on campus. But I was psyching myself out.
I mean, it would suck to be like stuck for 2 whole weeks. You can't do anything.
I know.
Like you were stuck in your room. You don't get friends, family, nothing. You were not going anywhere.
Exactly. I am
crazy.
getting an airdrop message from our stage manager currently. In the middle of our podcast while we're recording. What is going on with that, Mr. Tortellini?
Oh, you sent us pictures. That's really cute.
That is kind of
That's
cute.
awesome.
Yep, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Ben.
So we're gonna flip this around and we're gonna go off script here. So COVID. We need to loosen this up. We need to loosen this up. Like we need to get casual.
We need to stop talking a little bit about kind of serious stuff. What do you want to talk
COVID
about?
is too crazy. Let's talk about what's coming up. Like I'm trying to think of anything cool coming up.
On campus or just like in our lives?
Just no, in general, like in the world.
General.
Like what's
In the
happening.
world.
Thanksgiving's coming up. Thanksgiving's gonna suck.
You know what's
with
gonna
COVID.
come before Thanksgiving? Freaking Halloween. I'm not a huge
Halloween. Do you dress up for Halloween?
No, I hate Halloween. You are talking to somebody who's not a huge fall person.
See, I'm a huge fall person because, very, very big reason, I am a huge fan of cold weather. Like, I love being, okay, so this is the difference. So hot weather, you have hot weather, right? Hot weather, you can only take off so much when you get hot. Until it just starts getting inappropriate, right? And then like nobody's gonna be happy when I'm walking around campus naked because it's so hot outside. But like when it gets cold outside, you can put on as much as you want. You can layer up, get comfy, get warm, and then do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about, hey, I walked up a flight of steps today? Am I gonna break a sweat and have a stroke? No, because it's not hot outside. If it's cold outside, walk up a flight of steps. I'm like, wow, I feel great. Like it's so like you feel so nice. You don't have to turn your AC on in your car, so you're saving gas that way. I'm a very cheap person, so if I can save gas, I'm gonna save some gas. Snow comes, and that's really cool. Like being able to just jump around and lay in the snow and do whatever you want. I think that's really cool. What else is good? It's just so much fun to just sit inside and do nothing. Like it's so good.
Oh yeah, I know. But on the other side of the coin,
I don't want to talk about the other
on
side of the
the
coin.
contrary,
So you like
I
hotter
am a
weather?
hot weather person because here's the thing: in the winter, I cannot get warm. No matter how many layers I put on, no matter how many whatever it is, no matter where I am, I cannot get warm. If I'm outside, no matter what I'm wearing, I am cold.
Like even today?
Even today.
Today was like 60s.
Doesn't matter. I was
Okay.
cold. So, and I get that from my mom. I'm definitely a summer person. I thrive from the months of March until right about August.
Yeah, no.
And then these times of years, this time of year, I'm like, no. So it's tough because.
That's so weird.
Yep. I'm definitely a hot person. I'm definitely a hot person, Spencer.
You're a vain person. That's what it is. I'm just kidding. So back to Halloween. So you don't like Halloween. Why do you not like Halloween? Is it just
been
because?
My favorite.
Really?
I just think it's cheesy. Coming to
Cheesy?
college is a little bit different. When you're getting older, it's a little bit more fun because you get to hang out with friends, you get to dress up, I'm above age of 21, so I do get to drink, all that kind of good stuff.
Good for you, yeah.
But when I was younger, I just thought it was, I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite. My mom never put up like real decorations or anything.
My mom doesn't. My mom literally might slap like a
Pumpkin.
on one of our windows, and she's like, "Happy Halloween!"
My mom,
like that's it.
Yes. You know what my mom will do? 2 pumpkins and 2 mums.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, we don't decorate at all. Like we used to do pumpkins back when I was really young. We'd carve pumpkins or whatever, and then we didn't do anything that's it. Like, I don't celebrate any kind of holidays except for like Christmas.
Well,
We'll put up a tree, of course. I think almost every American family does. Of course, unless you're like, a different religion or whatever, most people put up a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And so we celebrate that. Thanksgiving, no decorations. Halloween, no decorations.
Oh my gosh.
Spring. It's just, we just don't. Like,
well,
we just don't do that.
Well, my mom, she's like the head person, obviously, of decorating for the house and everything. So she will go crazy for Christmas. We're putting up baby Jesus and all the majors. We're putting up a fat Christmas tree. We have 3 Christmas trees in our house. A living room Christmas tree, a screen porch, and 1 upstairs.
Okay, see, that's also different because we don't even have that much room. My house is literally barely big enough for the 5 of us. Like, that's it. Like,
it's crazy. And for Easter, my parents love Easter too. So we
Easter's
go crazy.
Such a holiday. Like, Easter's
I love
just
Easter.
not like that cool.
Springtime? Oh my god.
I mean, springtime's nice because
me?
it's once again a cooler season. Everything's starting to warm up.
Yes.
So I enjoy that for, clothing purposes or whatever.
For
But like
sure.
Easter's just not that exciting. Like, it's just Easter bunny, eggs. And I'm too old to hunt eggs, so what am I gonna do?
True.
I get to plant them for the kids, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do that because
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah. I get it. I
selfish.
totally get it.
Yeah.
No, okay. Is what it is. But I think as far as that, we're going to wrap things up for this episode. Talked about a lot of great stuff. I think that we definitely want to dive into some more stuff next episode.
For sure. Next episode, we're not going to be serious. We're not going to be strict and, straight up, I guess. Well, we're just going to be really casual. We might talk about, random things, what we like, what we don't like. Conspiracy theories is something I want to talk about
Change
somewhere
up
down the line.
topics within like the episode.
Yeah.
We may just have something vague, but then
Because
if
this
we wanna...
episode is definitely a somber one.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to listen to this and be like, gag. They're going to be like, COVID, gag.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Yep, I think as far as that, we are probably going to just wrap things up. If you guys are interested in getting in contact with us, we are planning on developing a Instagram page here soon. We do have somebody that is planning on running that. But as far as that, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.